It feels like a time of activation. And the word that keeps coming today is concentrated. It's like we're in this space of pure concentration of ourselves, forced to look at every aspect of who we are, who we think we are, what we identify ourselves as, and things that we thought identified us, our jobs, who we are in the external world, the relationships we have, they're not here in our face right now. We're forced to go within. And this is what is going to help us raise consciousness on this planet, is this forced going within so we can battle our own demons. We can face that which is dense, which is debris within us that we've been ignoring, that we haven't wanted to deal with and face. And it's the time for it to purge, for it to be released, for that recalibration to take place. That concentration within us is the beauty right now. And it can be uncomfortable, it can be pretty unpleasant. I know I'm going on my own waves of emotion and waves of processing of what's arising within me. So how do we look after ourselves in this? How can we keep coming back and find that center again? How can we love and parent ourselves through this instead of being that judgmental voice? In a world where the external has been our focus, the internal is now taking precedence. And I'm finding I'm still trying to manage and control my external world, even from that internal place. I am finding my levels of aggravation high. Everything's getting to me and gritting against my energetic body. I see this virus as its own entity now. It's not just the virus that's infecting people. The thought forms, the fear around it, the energy that's being given to it has then created its own energetic frequency. And all energy is positive and negative. So that entity, that energy of this coronavirus is rubbing up against our own energy fields. And it's going to bring up anything that you are processing, you're going through. It's going to trigger those fears. It's going to trigger every part of you that's actually needing to be brought up and purged right now. And like any energy, we have a choice. We have a choice within us about which energies we want to play with, which energies we want to relate to. It's like going into a space and you noticing someone that just makes you feel a bit uncomfortable. You're going to exclude yourself from that, extract yourself from that. And it's a similar way with what's happening in the world. We will extract ourselves from social media. I know I don't watch any of the news or read the newspapers or listen to the radio, and I haven't for many years, purely because the energy of that mass media fucks with me. It's energy fuckery. We don't need that in our systems. We don't need that tweaking our systems. What we need is to find what our center is, what our energetic frequency is, and how do we look after that? How do we make it rise? Because the more we make it rise, the more we're going to be able to do. The lower our energetic frequency is when we feel stuck. We feel frozen. We just stay still. We stay in the mud. We stay in the emotional heaviness, and we can't see our way out. And that's also necessary to go through those phases, but we want to be able to move through them and move up and through them and go through the waves and shift and raise our consciousness. That's what we're here to do. So I count my lucky stars that meters from my doorstep, I can walk down and be against the lake. I can walk down and be in the bush. It was only last month that I had to decide whether to sign a new lease for the place I'm in, and at the time I felt so much resistance and so much it felt so isolating here, because whilst it's stunning and it's paradise and it's beautiful and I'm so deeply grateful I'm here right now. There was a part of me that wasn't feeling seen and activated because I wasn't around humans. And then the world changes and we have to stay within our home environments. And from living in solitude, living on my own, working from home, and being in a place I love, but also having that sense of loneliness and isolation coming up, I've now have one of my best buddies come to stay with me during lockdown. So I have company, I have a cooking buddy, I have a cleaning buddy, I have bush adventure buddy, and it's like, you know, you get what you ask for. It just doesn't come in the way that you think it's going to. And they say, if you want to make God laugh, make plans. Because I tell you, there is a divine orchestration happening at the moment, and we just need to flow. Letting go of who we think we should be is a huge challenge, because we have been built on a society where we need to identify ourselves, we need to have titles, we need to know what we're creating and moving towards that one goal. Right now, we are being asked to just stop, reassess, and be flexible with this flow, because every day we're going to want to show up in a slightly different way. Sometimes we don't want to show up at all. And we need to stay in bed and watch cartoons and be with our animals and put our feet on the grass. That's okay. That's great. Please do that. But please honor the flow of your energy and your cycles as you come up and go down and come up and go down, and don't berate yourself. Don't get angry at yourself, because I know I do sometimes. I'm like, why am I going through this muck again? Haven't I done the work? Haven't I been doing the work for years now? But this is the work, every day. And in its gritty, shadowy, gooey mess, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful to witness this evolution within me and who I am and what I see and what I understand and what I comprehend and how I can try and relay it. That's been my biggest sticking point at the moment, is like, I'm getting all this information but I don't know how to speak it. And so then there's this fear that I'm not good enough, I can't show up, I can't give people what they need if I can't give myself what I need. So I've made a choice to just show up anyway. Show up in this vulnerability. Show up in as me, whoever this is today. You know, I was sitting at home and I was voice recording a message to someone, and I just had all this information coming through, and it's like, this is what I'm talking about. This is when I remember my magic. And I want to remember my magic. I want to feel connected to spirit. I want to hear the guidance. I want to know I'm doing the best that I can. So here I am. Here I am showing up. And I'm feeling the collective ache. You know, it's like Australia's like slowly catching up with the world in terms of the numbers and the statistics, and people feeling isolated and condensed. And I feel for the single mums out there, like some of my friends doing it really tough, and other friends who are on their own. My great aunt is in a aged care facility and we can't see her, and just that isolation and what it's going to bring up. I've got that urge of like, I want to go out, I want to go do something. And yeah, it can't be fulfilled in the way that I would normally fulfill that desire. So then I have to notice that emotion and that want inside of me and that thing that's not being satiated, and sit with it, or find a new way to channel its energy. There's a lot of people in my circle at the moment who have been in the well-being, consciousness, spirituality field for many years, and we've been kind of quietly trying to speak our messages, and all of a sudden there's this flooding, absolute saturation online of information, messages, people trying to sell things, and I get it, I totally get it. But it's almost like it made my voice just go quiet, because I always find I counterbalance energies, that when there's too much of one thing, I go the opposite side because I'm trying to even it out rather than add to the noise. But by doing that, I'm not actually honoring the truth that's within me that needs to be expressed. The part of me that wants to share and to help and to be me. So what is it in you that's not being fulfilled right now, or that's a void space, or that's got too much noise in it? And how is it making you feel? What can it teach you about your processing right now? This is a really, really unique time. This is a space in our life that we're going to remember forever. And I keep reminding myself of that. Every time I feel a bit of discomfort, it's like, oh, but this is good. This is juicy. I want to remind you to move your body. Because if I just have one day where I don't move my body in an active way, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I did that kind of walk there, and that's enough. But I mean, you actually need to raise your heart rate and hopefully build a bit of a sweat. So important right now to move this energy through us, because there is so much coming on that we can hold it. And that's when it starts to form sickness and disease and inflammation and infection. Being healthy in mind, body, and spirit at the moment is more vital than ever. So it's like looking at that trinity, keeping that connection open to source, to spirit, asking for their help, asking for them to come in and guide and give you signs and be like, what is my assignment today? How can I show up for me? How can I show up in service? How can I show up for the planet? Have some discernment with what is good for you. Don't get on Facebook and scroll it just because you're trying to fill a void. What's in your space? I've been doing this thing actually at home, which I'm loving, is moving stuff around every day. Moving the table and chairs into a different position so when we sit to eat, we've got a new perspective on the place. Moving an artwork, putting a new fabric there. Sitting outside, moving where we sit, the furniture outside where we sit, because it's like, this looks different, this feels different. Your little ornaments. It's like the most simplest thing, but it actually changes your perspective and it gets you to look at something with fresh eyes. It gives you a fresh perspective, and perspective is everything. Look after your heart, because this is about how much you love and how much you feel loved, how much you're connected to those around you. And it's testing us to connect in new ways. Video calling, voice messaging, text messaging, writing a letter, writing an email, sending some flowers. I want people to feel activated, but in a way that feels easy, gentle, kind, with grace, with self-compassion. Because activated is good, but it can also trigger us, it can tweak us a little bit when we're not used to those heightened emotions. Because we can numb ourselves. We can numb ourselves to everything that's going on, and that's a very standardized coping mechanism. But if we can move through that numbness to find the bliss in the emotion, the bliss even when it's really tough, that struggle point, that real uncomfortability. There's beauty in there too. It's like pulling apart the emotional layers. It's like, what's actually underneath at this core? So one of my core wounds, core fears is abandonment. And I worked this out maybe at the beginning of last year when I did a deep meditation weekend workshop. And we had to work through nutting out the layers. And through everything, there was this core theme, and it all came down to this thing of abandonment. And so when I am triggered in my fear state and I am triggered by other people's stuff that I'm seeing out there, I can actually all bring it back to it triggering my core wound of abandonment. And, you know, there's a fear of me showing up because I might be judged and then people won't like me and then they'll abandon me. I'll fear to show up because I won't be seen, I won't be acknowledged for me putting my heart and soul out there, and therefore I'll feel unloved and therefore I'm abandoned. Everything. And so whilst I'm still working on dissolving that core wound, it gives me information to work with. It gives me a reason why things are triggering me. And when I kind of understand it, it dissolves the potency of that fear, of that uncomfortability. I'd like to offer just an activation ritual to help move through. This isn't going to be deep, it's not going to be hard, it's just something I want to invite you to allow yourself. So just closing the eyes for a moment, I want you to feel into your heart space. Taking a deep breath into that space and seeing a small golden seed. This golden seed feels it has the whole potential of the universe within it. I want you to go inside this seed now and fill it with golden light and watch it grow around you. Like you are the baby in that seed, growing like a womb space. It grows bigger and brighter, expanding, filling your whole body. And as you have grown within that seed and that seed starts to germinate, to open, to push up tendrils through the beautiful earth, what expression does that growth take? What does it look like? What does the plant that you are growing today look like? What colors is it? What kind of petals does it have? How does it feel as it pushes through and feels the sun against it, feels the wind against it? What kind of soil did it come out of? What kind of landscape does it find itself in? What is your heaven on earth today? What does it look like, feel like, smell like, taste like? And I want you to feel that right now. Feel the energy of it, the frequency of it. And knowing that whatever way the seed of you grows today is exactly what you are meant to show up as. You're exactly where you are meant to be, and things are unfolding in exactly the right way, in the right moment. And offer yourself this wash of compassion right now, this wash of kindness and love and parenting, a beautiful mothering of self. And feeling that golden energy across your body. Taking one more deep breath in. And gently opening your eyes. Find your center. Find your center and move forward from there. Always come back to that heart space. Always know that you need to look after you to be able to look after others, to be able to look after this planet. This is all the time for you to go within, to really connect in with your truth, your integrity. Be the advocate for you. Be the voice for you. Your expression here on this earth is what Spirit is here channeling through you. Connect in with that soul essence of you. That soul is your connection between body and spirit. It is the communication. The way you can hear it is through the signs and symbols and synchronicities you see. It's through that divine inspired guidance that you have to go and just do something. Open this book, watch this program, talk to this person, call that person. Comes in all beautiful ways. Just trusting yourself, really trusting yourself. All you need is within you. And what's within you is going to keep moving and shifting, and layers are going to come out, and they've got to be faced with and dealt and released and transformed and transmuted for the crystalline beauty, divine essence of you to keep shining brighter and brighter. Enjoy the process. Far out, it sucks some days, but gosh, it's beautiful and blissful as well. I love you all. I'll talk to you soon.
Hum inside my heart a little while.